We live in a world where it's rush, rush, rush. Drive faster, turn here, park now.
Like coming to the park?
Yeah, it doesn't move. It's stuck here.
For Tina Lowry and her 4-year-old Cohen,
Do you want to drive? You a good driver?
a little off-road relaxation might be the only solution
Where would you put your foot if you had to slam on the brakes? Because traffic's so bad.
to their problem with Texas traffic for now.
I know within the last 5 years, it's just gotten horrendous.
From 35 south to north, if you're headed from airport to Kyle, you're in traffic for what, an hour and a half?
They have this huge traffic problem and congestion. It just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me.
Considering the state's growing population and growing need for infrastructure. It's behind a new Senate proposal. The Texas Department of Transportation says it needs $4 billion a year to keep up. This plan would mean about $1 billion a year from the state's rainy day fund, if the governor adds it to the list of legislation for lawmakers to consider in this special session.
There's been some important movement in the transportation side. Is it enough? From my perspective, no, but again, I think it's a little bit premature.
But highways here do need help.
You need help with your shoe?
Someone or some money to swoop in and save them.
I hope that we can find some relief for them.
You're a road rager, huh?
For Lowry, relief will come knowing the roads are a little better when this little guy starts driving.
I know, that scares me. Let's not talk about it.
And we take a liking to one another.
In a little house in Waco
We just stayed together.
lives a couple who knows a little something about how to pass the time.
She was a good-looking lady. She was one of the prettiest ladies up there.
Well, he was good looking and he had a car.
Edgar and Rena Bell Ludiker hit a milestone a few years back, a reminder of just how long ago they met and married.
We will be, you gonna answer
Be 72, won't it? Next,
May the 3rd.
A date Texas lawmakers recognized with the resolution.
not very many people get to live that long, much less stay married that long. Heck, if it lasts 2 weeks, you're lucky in some cases.
The Ludikers join a long list at the Capitol. Resolutions for almost anything. You make the honor roll at school, you're someone important who died. You do something great like save a life.
I think it's an important function of the state to recognize that those folks are the foundation of our culture.
Most lawmakers averaged around 20 resolutions last session, but one man took it to the extreme. Representative Charles Doc Anderson of Waco filed a whopping 312, including the one for the Ludikers.
So that doesn't take time away from any other issue or any other committee.
True, resolutions have their own committee and typically happen during lawmakers' downtime on the floor. But that's still time, like 7 minutes to recognize a sorority.
To celebrate Alpha Kappa Alpha Day at the state capitol.
Nearly 3.5 minutes for a golden anniversary.
Very good, very good.
Or in the Ludikers' case, one of hundreds of resolutions in 37 minutes on the last day of the session.
Church 2743 by Anderson McClendon, Church 2744 by Anderson McClendon.
It's time you might think they could spend on more important things.
Oftentimes people make that misconception that, why aren't you dealing with gun control or why don't you deal with education?
If legislation isn't passed, it's not because resolutions were on the schedule that day. It's because there were efforts to block that legislation.
And they're recognized, and that's that.
Former state lawmaker Sherry Greenberg says resolutions don't really ever get out of hand, but there could be restrictions. In the last 2.5 decades, the number of resolutions has more than tripled, from 1,200 to over 4,000.
Should there be a limit per member? Another would be to have a strict time limit per resolution.
Sometimes they're read in full, sometimes they're not read in full. And I think you'll start seeing as we go into session longer and longer that they become shorter.
Resolution is adopted.
Part of the reason Anderson says he's not slowing down.
And we'll hope to have the same thing this session.
And that's okay with the Ludikers.
They're thinking about the people that originally put them in office.
Knowing their vote counts, and their lawmaker hasn't forgotten who he serves.
And we appreciate it to the bottom of our hearts to even thinking about it.
I mean, you have to be a rugged individualist to love this place.
The Texas Panhandle, fields full of cattle and cotton, wind power for miles, and an ocean of oil. Compared to the rest of the state, it's like a different world. And on its northern edge, in the small town of Dumas,
I was in the grain business. I bought and sold grain.
lives a man who came close to securing that distinction.
It was like we were at war. I mean, everything that was happening was against us.
For 20 years, David Swinford represented this sparse area in the Texas House.
I had 56 school districts.
As a freshman in 1991, he made a bold move that began after unfolding the state's official roadmap and realizing the Panhandle was detached.
It was proof that they didn't like us because they didn't even put us on the map, and that sort of ticks me off.
Add that to school concerns, redistricting dangers, and the threat of tax increases.
And my motto was, the new Texas has too many new taxes for me.
Swinford had the ammunition he needed for a bill to secede from the state.
My area's had it. My people are madder than an old red hen, and it's time to do something.
The bill would have essentially split the Texas map. It got a lot of attention, but never made it out of committee. It would have meant 26 counties, their own state, with a capital in Amarillo. Swinford's idea stemmed from something beyond just the Panhandle, though. History shows when Texas became part of the nation in the 1840s, you could actually carve out as many as 5 states. And like Swinford, a lot of people have tried to do something like this over the years. It was a stretch, but after the Civil War, when Texas drew up its constitution, some citizens also drew up one for the state of West Texas.
That's the only time when it's been seriously debated before the legislature that I know of.
Obviously, it failed, just like a string of other proposals in the decades to follow.
Just keep it all Texas.
But state historians say success might be bittersweet.
I like Texas the way it is. I wouldn't want to change that.
It could be costly to set up a new government.
Well, maybe it might be a good idea to get rid of them. I don't know.
The Panhandle, for instance, would probably get only 1 seat in the U.S. House.
What kind of political power does that really provide you?
Getting rid of the Panhandle, though, would mean sacrificing some of the state's biggest economic benefits, a vast prison system, and the nation's only nuclear weapons plant. The idea is one scholars still debate, but something many agree will probably never happen.
If there's one thing that the past teaches us, is that it's unpredictable.
Something Swinford didn't predict? The impact his proposal would make.
They changed the map, and Ann Richards gave me the first copy of the map with Old Texas back on top.
More importantly, it drew attention to the Panhandle's problems, gave locals a leader, and perhaps left a message for today's lawmakers.
And if they have to do something extreme, that's what they should do.
In Dumas, Josh.Hinkle, KXAN News. From bluebonnets to jalapenos, Texas has a whole list of official state symbols, but believe it or not, that list does not include an official pie. This week we met some little lobbyists with a nutty idea for lawmakers.
Hello, my name is Jude Webster, and we are from Georgetown at Ford Elementary. Is Senator Hancock available?
Sweet talking the state senate. Just ask Jude Webster and his fellow first graders how it's done.
Holy, that is so big.
Pie and a little bit of politics goes a long way.
A lot of other states have desserts and not Texas. Since the pecan and the pecan tree are a state symbol, I think it would fit in perfectly.
Spending their spring break learning about the legislative process.
I hope you vote for the pecan pie to be a state symbol.
Well, I thought it was a state symbol. It surely should be.
I know.
You know. What's your favorite pie?
Cherry pie.
You're supposed to say pecan if you're lobbying for pecan pie.
I know, it's just not my favorite
All
pie.
right, well, let's try it again. What? Ready? Especially since you're on camera, it's really important that you say. What's your favorite pie?
The pecan pie.
Really? That is a great answer.
It started out researching state symbols, then deciding between desserts, eventually taking their class to the Capitol.
And I would like to give this pie to you.
Thank you so much. I'll make sure the senator gets this.
Senators got a tasty testimony from Jude.
There are 2 people in my life that love pecan pie. My mom and my grandpa. My grandpa will be so proud of Texas.
And it looks like the lawmakers loved their little lobbying efforts.
4 ayes, no nays. Let's see our passes. 12 passes.
In the last days of the 83rd legislative session, there is absolutely no disagreement about the importance of honoring these young men and women.
The global war on terrorism has claimed the lives of more than 6,600 American service members, including over 580 Texans.
Oh, amazing grace.
Mothers,
fathers,
sons, and our daughters.
The empty chairs at holiday dinners, at weddings, at graduations.
Like me. Their names remained etched in our minds and forever in our hearts.
Sergeant Robert J. Billings, Sergeant Rafado Rodriguez Jr.,
Specialist Jesse W. Dietrich.
I was blind, but now I see.
Let's never forget the debt we owe all of those who served, not just on Memorial Day, but every day of the year.
I see.